My grandfather was a survivor of World War II. I now know the horrifying truth behind it. Whenever I would ask my grandfather to tell me stories about World War II, he would start panicking and quickly try to change the topic. He'd scream at me and tell me to never ask him about it again. It was like he was scared of something that he didn't want me to know about. But I would soon find out that the real reason was much more horrifying. Things were different today, though, and his response was different. He made me promise to never tell anyone about what we talked about today. And after agreeing, he began telling the story. This all happened back in 1942, sometime during the middle of the war. I was stationed at an internment camp a few hours outside of Nevada. It was completely isolated from the rest of the world, and very few people knew about it. It was here that all of the most notorious war prisoners were held, the ones that were too dangerous to keep anywhere else. Our job was simple. All we had to do was make sure no one escaped. Everything was fine at first. However, things quickly changed, and the most horrific day of my life began on November 3rd, 1942. The day started like any other. I was awoken at 3 a.m. to begin my shift on one of the guard towers. I quickly got out of bed and made my way to the camp's cafeteria before it was time to go. I took a seat and pulled out my journal and began writing. I did this every morning, and I used this as a way to take my mind off of what was happening in the world. I was only 19, and it felt like I didn't belong there. I wasn't strong like everyone else. I couldn't handle the sight of war and death. I missed home, and so every morning I would write a letter to my family, in case I didn't make it back alive. I spent the next half hour writing until it was time to take my position on the guard tower. It was about 2 hours into my shift when it happened. The sun was just starting to rise when suddenly the alarm started blaring. Someone was trying to escape. I quickly stood up from my chair and switched the large spotlight on in front of me and began aiming it around the ground outside, hoping I could find him. A few minutes had gone by and I was ready to give up when I saw him. There was a man crawling, weaving his way in and around rocks and bushes to avoid being seen. I knew what I had to do. I put my rifle around my neck and aimed in with the scope. I waited until my crosshair was directly on his head. I looked at the young man for a moment. I could tell he was Japanese, and then I fired. He was dead. I was getting ready to sit back down in my chair when I was interrupted by something. The sound of large engines. The sun was up by this point, and as I turned my head around, I was greeted by the sight of dozens of planes. It was the Japanese military. They had found us. Quickly, the alarms began to ring once more, but it was too late.